I am Leonor, and I was there. Death was not confirmed by machines, when the silence of the body was interpreted as the end. When a pulse too faint was enough for someone to be declared lost. I saw the fear of dying, and I saw something even worse. The fear of waking up after everyone had already said goodbye.
In the Middle Ages, death was not a hospital event. It was domestic, public, and swift. People died at home, surrounded by family, neighbors, and prayers. And when the body stopped responding, there were no instruments to measure what might still remain within. A breath so faint it was nearly invisible, a pulse barely detectable, eyes unmoving. For those watching, it was enough. There were conditions we understand today that were once mysteries: catalepsy, coma, deep fevers. The body could grow stiff, cold, and motionless. But consciousness and outward perception do not always move together. In a world without advanced medical knowledge, appearance was proof. During outbreaks of plague, fear accelerated decisions. Bodies were buried only hours after the final breath, not out of cruelty, but out of panic. Urgency meant protection. Hesitation meant danger. When collective survival was at stake, the individual lost priority. You are placed on a table, washed, dressed, prepared. Perhaps someone whispers goodbye. Perhaps a hand touches your face one last time. And if a trace of awareness still lingers inside you, there is no way to signal it. Coffins were simple, built from thick wood, designed to contain, not to allow return. There was no extra space, no ventilation, no alternative considered. The lid is lowered. Nails are hammered in. The sound echoes louder outside than within. You are carried. You feel the sway. You hear muffled voices. Perhaps someone weeps. Perhaps no one speaks. The ceremony is brief. The priest speaks of eternal rest. Then, the sound of the first shovelful of earth. After the final word and the final prayer, only soil remains. The darkness is complete. The air grows heavy, and if awareness awakens down there, it does not feel like waking from a dream. It feels like opening your eyes inside an irreversible mistake. First confusion, then faster breathing, then panic. You try to move your arms. The wood stops you. You try to scream. The earth absorbs the sound. No echo, no answer. In total darkness, time loses its shape. Minutes feel like hours. Seconds stretch endlessly. Oxygen begins to fade, each breath shorter than the last. The body fights. The mind descends into desperation. And no one above the ground suspects a struggle unfolding beneath it. In old accounts, when graves were later opened for other reasons, something disturbing was sometimes found. Bodies shifted, hands near the face, scratches on the inside of the lid, not always definitive proof, but enough to feed a fear that already existed. If it happened once, it could happen again. The terror of being buried alive was not only personal, it was cultural. Some begged for longer delays before burial. Others demanded extended vigils. Some asked that their bodies be observed for days. But especially during epidemics, there was not always time to wait. In the Middle Ages, death was part of daily life. Children saw bodies. Families prepared the deceased themselves. Nothing was hidden. Yet precisely because it was so common, death was confirmed through simple observation. No reaction, no speech, no visible breath. That was enough. It was a practical conclusion, and sometimes a mistaken one. Cold skin was long interpreted as a final sign, but severe fevers can drastically lower body temperature. Some conditions reduce heartbeats almost to nothing. Without instruments, there was only the human hand to feel, and hands can be wrong. Imagine the exact moment when the air begins to thin. It does not happen instantly. It happens gradually. First you breathe faster, then shorter. Then your chest begins to ache. The mind searches for escape where none exists. The wood remains unmoving. The darkness underground is not like night. There are no stars, no horizon, no point of reference. It is the complete absence of world. And perhaps the worst part is not the lack of air. Perhaps it is the realization that no one knows you are still there. In a sealed space, oxygen may last only minutes, perhaps an hour depending on circumstances. But in darkness, time becomes psychological torment. You do not know how much has passed. You do not know how much remains. You only know it is diminishing. In medieval thought, questioning death meant questioning the will of God. If someone were buried alive, it could be interpreted as part of a greater design. The idea of human error was too unsettling. It was easier to believe that God does not make mistakes, and so the fear remained quiet. Centuries later, so-called safety coffins appeared, with ventilation pipes, with ropes attached to bells above ground. If someone awoke, they could ring. But this invention was born from an older fear, a medieval fear. The terror did not live only in graves. It lived in beds. People feared falling into deep sleep, feared not responding, feared appearing dead. Some asked their families to watch over their bodies for days after death. Others left explicit instructions. True death was inevitable, but death by mistake was unacceptable. While someone might have been struggling for air beneath the soil, life above it continued. Family members grieved, prayed, and returned home. Mourning followed its course. The world did not pause. There was no deliberate abandonment, only misplaced certainty. Even when rumors spread of coffins scratched from the inside, few wanted to look too closely. Accepting that possibility meant accepting responsibility. And responsibility is heavier than ignorance, so the fear became legend. And legend is easier to endure than truth. The moment the first shovelful of earth strikes the coffin is symbolic. It marks the official ending, the point of no return. After that, it is not opened again, not questioned again, not checked again. The earth seals not only the body, but every doubt. Imagine realizing that no one hears your cries, not because they refuse, but because they do not know. It is not abandonment. It is absolute invisibility. When the human mind confronts total absence of hope, it shifts between panic and surrender. With too little oxygen, the body collapses quickly. The struggle is intense but brief. What makes this thought so disturbing is not its length. It is the awareness of it. Knowing it is happening, knowing there is no escape, knowing the mistake can no longer be undone. The fear of being buried alive passed through generations, not because it was common, but because it was possible. And possibility, even when rare, is enough to create lasting terror. In a world where death was constant, the greatest fear was not dying. It was dying the wrong way. The Middle Ages existed at the edge between knowledge and the unknown, between what was seen and what was interpreted. How many cases truly occurred? We do not know. Most were never recorded. Most were never discovered. History preserves wars, kings, and treaties, but rarely the silent mistakes beneath the ground. And perhaps that is the most unsettling part. Today we have tests, equipment, and protocols. And yet, the ancient fear remains. Because what truly frightens us is not medieval medical error. It is the loss of control, the inability to warn, the inability to prove that we are still here.
I was there when death was declared by silence, when wood descended without room for doubt, when earth sealed destinies that may have still been breathing. And I learned that humanity's deepest fear is not death, it is being forgotten before it. Because dying is inevitable, but being buried alive is to disappear while fully aware. There are still stories the earth has not managed to hide. If you wish to hear them, I wait here.